Welcome to my workshop. In today's video I've got for you a very detailed assembly process of this desktop CNC machine from TwoTrees, the TTC6050. Apart from the assembly, I'm going to show you a quick process of how to set it up so you can do your first engraving as well. So let's get started. Apart from the machine itself, I also do have two accessories that you can purchase on the TwoTrees website. Mainly I've got the vacuum cleaner that hopefully will remove most of the dust created as the machine operates, and a spindle with 800 watts of power, where the main machine offers you a spindle with 500 watts of power. So overall both options are quite powerful, but this one just gives you that a little bit more. The working area of this machine is 600mm by 500mm by 100mm. Okay, so it's a fairly decent amount of work area. And there you go, that's all the pieces of this machine. You actually in the package do even get some ear defenders, so that's pretty cool. You do have some glasses as well. Look at the module over here. That's absolutely huge with a screen on board. Now that's the spindle we've got for this machine, and I'm actually initially going to install this to show you how to do it. These are the components we're going to need for the first step. Over here in the middle we've got the Y-axis support, and then left and right components plus the front. On top of that we're going to need 2 of these pins and 6 M5 by 20 screws. First of all, let's put in those pins, and they go right at the front panel in those middle holes there. Just push them inside. Offer the front panel to the Y-axis support and drive in the bolts. And you add 2 screws to each side component. Now we can install the back panel. Again, in those 2 holes in the middle we're going to put those pins that we used before, and in total again we're going to use 6 of the same screws to put this back on. Now we need to secure this cable that comes from this motor over here. You do get some cable ties in the set itself, so that's what we're going to use to secure this wire. Now we're going to install this motor hand wheel, and for that we're going to need 2 M4 by 3 screws. Now this bar does have one flat area. Make sure that one of these screws that we're just going to put in will land on that flat spot. Now move this right more or less to the middle of the machine. Now we're going to install this Y-axis drive connection beam, and on the reverse, on the bottom part, it does have some connections, and that needs to be on the right hand side. Okay, we do have a cable sticking on this right hand side, and that needs to be positioned in this way. And to attach this, again we're going to need 2 pins like these and 12 cup head M5 by 15 screws. Now these pins go right in the middle over here, and we can drive in the screws. And also to both of these blocks on each side. For the next step we're going to be installing these 2 L-shaped profiles on either side of the machine. And to secure them in place we're going to need the round head M5 by 12 screws. In total we need 4. Now it's time to install 2 infrared sensors. Okay, so it's a safety feature on this machine. One of them does have 2 wires, that goes on the left, and the other one has got 3 wires, that goes on the right. And to secure them we need the self-tapping M3 by 16 screws. Same thing on the other side. Now the long wire from the left hand side sensor, we just need to thread through the bottom just over here to the right hand side. And secure the wire with some cable ties. The next thing we need to install is a piece that looks like this. And that's going to go right at the back. We've got 2 holes on each side. And to install this, we're going to need 2 cup head M4x5 screws. Now we're going to install the base itself. It's from MDF boards, but to do that we need to install 4 profiles like these. And to install them we're going to need these countersunk heads M4x8. And with that done we can install the MDF panels. In total you've got 5 of them, 2 narrow pieces and 3 wider pieces. To install those boards we're going to need 2 lots of screws. One is cup head M5x12s, these going to go on the inside, and then cup heads M5x20, these going to go on the outer perimeter. Now let's focus on the x-axis. We've got the motor component that we need to just put it in. It goes one way, just like that, making sure the wire, the cable goes down. And to attach the motor, we're going to need the cup head M4x12s. And with that done, we can install our x-axis on the main body of the machine. And to secure it in place, we're going to need cup head screws M5x18s. In the next step, on the x-axis, we need to install drag chain supports. You need 3 brackets like this, 1 bracket like this that will go right at the top here on this part. And the screws you're going to need is the cup head M3x15. Let's install the drag chain. For that we're going to need the same screws as we did just before. In total we're going to need 4 of them. So 4 cup head M3x5s. This machine comes with 2 acrylic guards, 1 for each side. And you're going to need some screws to install them. Round head M3x6. Now we can start installing the Z-axis component. For that we're going to need 2 pins that will go right in the middle, the ones that we used to use before, and we've got just 2 left now. Just place them right in the middle slots. And to actually attach this, we're going to need the cup head M5x30 screws. Now just offer the component to the main body, marry up those pins, and secure it with those screws that I've mentioned. On the Z-axis component you do have a 3 wire that's called X2, okay, and you need to cut the cable tie that's holding it, as we do need the whole length of this cable. Just make sure not to damage any wires. Now this wire goes down below where you do have the connection for the limit switches. So you need to just connect that wire to this connection. And again you can use some cable ties to manage this wire so it's out of the way. With that sorted, we can actually connect the wire that comes from the drag chain that goes right at the back here. So we are getting closer. We are about to install the spindle itself. So we do need this holder and some screws. 4 in total, cup head M5x55s. Now we can drop down the spindle. Make sure that the wire goes to the right hand side, as the connection for the wire for the spindle is on the right hand side. And straight away we can connect it to the machine. One cool feature that this machine has, it's an LED light. How cool is that? At least you're going to be able to see what is happening. You've got two mounting positions, one higher, one a little bit lower. I'm going to go with the higher one. And that cable actually connects to a port that's around the back here. It's marked as air. Okay, so not confusing at all. And the screws that you're going to need are the cup head M3x5s. Time to sort out the wires. Okay, so this comes from the drag chain, and you do have the first wire that's marked as X, and that needs to connect with the X motor just over here. On the same wire that comes from the drag chain, you do have Y minus, we'll leave that at the minute, SP and S, we're going to leave that at the minute, and the next one is Y. Okay. And at the back, we do have the Y connection just over here, and we put both of them together. On the gantry here, you do have a connection that's located just underneath. And as you remember, we do have the Y minus, and that goes just underneath. We do have these two wires at the front of the machine from the infrared beam, and the corresponding connections on the drag chain cable is S and SP. And as you remember, one of these cables does have three wires, red, white and black. That goes to the S section, and the other one goes to SP. And to be honest, that's all the wiring done for this machine, so it's not too bad. The only thing that we need to sort out is cable management. And you do have 1, 2, 3 places where you can use the cable ties provided to actually sort out the wires. So it's up to you how you're going to arrange your cables so they're not in the way. In this set, you do get this controller for the whole machine, and the wire, the last one that we've got left, needs to be connected to this controller. It's very important that this cable and the one that we added to the Z-axis, they are in the correct way. Okay, so check the side pins on them. Okay, so they're corresponding with the entrance, as if you do it upside down, it may short circuit this controller. So be careful of the way you're actually connecting your wires. Also, what you do get is a data cable port, so you can connect it to your PC or laptop. You do have a slot for the SD card, which is also included in the set, and a power cable just over here. There's one more slot over here, and that's for the A-axis motor interface. In the set you also do get 4 clamps, and these are not plastic, that's all aluminium. Right, so let me quickly show you how to put this together. You need the threaded rod, a washer, then the T-shaped bit. You can then put it in the T-track, just like so. Spring, another washer, the clamping head, this little piece there, and that's it. Clamp completed. And more or less, the machine is fully assembled. So it's not too bad, although it will take you at least an hour minimum to actually put this together. The machine itself, it is absolutely super heavy. So think about where you're going to put it, as you don't really want to move it around too often, as it does really weigh a lot. Now, before you're actually gonna jump into carving your first project, there is still a few steps I want you to follow so you won't run into any issues. First of all, the probe itself. Okay, so you do get this handy dandy probe that you do need to connect it right at the back. Okay, you do have a plug for it, and just connect it like so. In this set, you do get 3 components, okay? So the T-nut a metal bar like this and a screw. And basically what you can do, you can whack that in to your T-track, lock it in place, and the probe itself on the reverse does have a magnet, so it can stick like that. Now, I'm not too sure about this solution because you do have this wire tangling everywhere. So depending on the project, you may need to disconnect this or put it somewhere else, okay? You only need this for the setup, okay? So you can disconnect it. However, the more time you're going to be disconnecting that from that port, the more likely you're going to pull the wires and just damage the port itself. So preferably plug this in at the top in that port and leave it be, okay? Put it somewhere so it's not in the way as your machine is operating. This place, sure, could be all right. I don't know. We need to try it out and see if that will get in the way or the cables will cause any issues. As we are next to the spindle, I'm going to show you how you can install a bit. Very simple. Just undo the collar, put the bit in, lock it in place. You do get 2 keys in the set, so you can lock this in place. There we go. So let's switch this on. At the back you do have the power button on. It's gonna put the drive like so. Not sure if you're gonna be able to see it, but the light, that works as well. Pretty cool that is. And let me talk you through the things you can see over here. Obviously, stop emergency button at the top. As you press it, everything goes off. So, for example, if your machine doesn't turn on, make sure that is switched off. Then you've got a safety spindle lock, okay? So if something happens to your machine, you can either switch the whole thing or just the spindle. When you press that, the spindle stops immediately. You can manually adjust the speed of your spindle with this knob over here. And as you can see on the screen, you've got all the options you may need to operate this machine. Over here, speed control. So you can go from slow, medium, and fast. Then you've got the movement distance, 1 millimeter, 10 millimeters, not 0.1 millimeter. For this purpose, we're going to go to 10 millimeters. Then we've got the spindle, so you can actually switch on the spindle. If we press that, you do have an option for additional accessories, which I don't have, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. The arrows obviously indicate how you can move the machine, okay? So that's your X and Y axes. You can set the origin, and then you've got the Z axis up and down. And at this point, I want you to do a very important thing. With the controllers, I did show you, move the Z axis right to the bottom and right to the top until you trigger the limit switches, okay, to see if everything works correctly. Next, move your machine to every corner, okay? Take it to the maximum to all 4 corners. Now that will check if your wires are not in the way, if they are causing some issues, if they are pulling somewhere, okay? You don't want that to happen to you as you are carving away, okay? As the wires from this side, they are fairly short, especially to the infrared lights, okay? So you need to make sure there's no issues with the cabling, and that's my most important point I want to make to you. Make sure to go as far as you can, and also testing the limit switches to see if everything works correctly. I already done that. It will take you some time as you can only move by 10 millimeters at a time. And to be fair, that's the safest way, as you don't want to go too far too quick, as then you may actually pull the wire or break it. So yeah, do that for sure. And finally, to finish off the whole process of initial setup of the machine, I want to show you how to use the probe itself so you can set up your machine for your project, basically. Right, let's say that's my project board. Okay, I'm going to be cutting in that. That's going to be, that corner there is going to be the start of my project. So I need to place the probe just over there. And with that in place, I'm going to move the spindle over that probe. Now what you need to do, grab this clamp, take it over your router bit. Okay. Now on the controller, go on to tools. You need to do, press that position. Position successful, press yes, and then the probe. So basically what happens, the router bit will touch our probe, and that's going to tell the machine basically the thickness of the material we've got for our project, and it will set up the zero, the starting point for our project as well. There you go, sorted. Okay, that's done. So we can take our probe away. And on the controller, as you can see, it says probe successful. So that's done. Over here you also do have some other options like extra cooling or power. You can change the power and save. Okay, that's the infrared beam sensor. You can turn it on or you can turn it off. Let's leave it on. So basically when your machine operates and something goes by that infrared laser, then it's going to switch everything off. Plus the home button, let's just home that. Home is the basic position, the start position for this machine. What else do we have here? Well, we've got files, right? Currently, the SD card, I've not put it in. I'm going to sort that out in a second so we can see some files. And settings, you've got the standard, you've got language. You can actually connect this to your Wi-Fi, help, contacts. And what you need to make sure, if you're using the engrave, so CNC bit, make sure it's set to engrave. As you switch that off, basically you're switching that to laser mode. So this machine can take a diode laser head as well. So that's pretty cool actually. And if you want to have noises as the machine operates, then yeah, you can turn on the beep as well. One more thing I want to show you is what happens when you trigger a limit switch. There we go, limit switch stayed on, press button to unlock. So when you press that, you can move your machine again, okay? Now there is one very cool accessory you can get from TwoTrees for this CNC machine and a few others. It's the vacuum cleaner. Okay, so let's put this together and we'll see how it's going to operate as well when we switch everything on. You do get a manual and bits and pieces, so let me just take everything out and we'll set this up. Now that's all the pieces you get. So that's your vacuum cleaner. You got the hose, you've got a bag underneath there. Let me just show you. There's a filter as well. Okay, I'm going to show you how to put everything together. Power brick over here. We've got some screws, cables. I like these that you've got two different sizes. Actually can work as a normal vacuum cleaner, cable ties. And that's the head that we're going to install on our spindle. And to do that is fairly simple. This little see-through device that's held together by some magnets, right? So what you need to do is to get this over that, and in here you've got some screw holes that will marry the openings on your spindle, and you do get 4 screws in this set. Now we can attach the bottom cover. It just snaps right on. And because we do have a short bit, I'm going to install this. As I say, you do get a longer one as well. Now we need to install the bag itself. So underneath there, as I said, you do have a filter you can take out, clean out and change. You do have a hose, so we need to marry the opening from the bag with that. And we can install this back in. Do have locking clips. Just like so. Now we can put the hose in, the power cable, and also you do have a USB cable just over here. That's for signal to our collection point. So let's install the hose like so. Then we can add our USB cable, and on here you've got 2 buttons. One, when you press that, it does says auto. It will automatically turn on the vacuum as the CNC machine starts, and on the other side you've got LED lights, even brighter than the one you had there, so you've got better visibility of what is going on. And at the top of the vacuum you also do have a button to manually turn this on and go through suction powers. Okay, so basically you've got 2 modes, minimum and maximum. Right then, so we've got everything set up, the vacuum cleaner, the machine itself, And there's a couple of ways you can actually start working with it. You can use plenty of softwares that will be capable of running this machine with a laptop or a PC. You can do that, no problem. It needs to be in G-code, okay? However, what you can also do, transfer the file of that project onto the SD card that's with the whole kit, and you can put it in the controller behind there. And that's what I'm going to do today. So you need to establish the probe to make sure you're at the right distance. I've done that, so more or less I'm ready to start carving away. And on the SD card you've got two test files. One is TwoTrees logo and the other one is a flower. So basically we're just going to run the flower. We'll see how everything works, how well the vacuum operates, how much sawdust we still got lying about, and yeah, we'll see if this machine actually works at all. So let's go to the files, flower, yes, and off it goes by the looks of things. And it's finally completed, so let's have a look at the initial results. I'm just going to switch this off so we won't have any interference as I talk. Okay, let's have a look. Let me just move this out of the way a little bit, and there we go. So the clamps, you know, they managed to hold the material in place with no issues at all. And as you can see, actually the vacuum cleaner has done a fantastic job, just ever so slight sawdust around, but I'm actually quite impressed with that. There's a bit of a fluff from the wood. Let me just grab a bit of sandpaper and let's have a look. And check that out. First initial test, just basic settings as they were from this test file. And yeah, no issues at all. And there you have it. Hopefully this assembly process was helpful to you if you've got the same machine, or maybe gave you a bit of idea of how everything works. And as you can see, it works with no issues. And that's just a sample. Now obviously I'm gonna have some follow-up videos. The next video I'm gonna be changing this spindle for the more powerful spindle, the 800 watts one, and we'll do some more testing and more projects with it. Again, I'm actually quite surprised with the vacuum, how well it tackled, although it was a small project, and the vacuum, the chamber itself, it's not big. So if you're gonna be tackling larger projects, then that could not be enough. However, even with that, the attachment there, you can just hook it up to your shop vac and it will do absolutely fine. So from that perspective, it's still worth getting. Now please remember, today's video is not a review, it's only an assembly video. However, I'm going to give you my initial impressions, which are actually very, very good. One thing I didn't manage to record is I've actually took my hand through the front and the infrared stopped the spindle itself, so that safety feature does work. But don't worry, you can actually resume your work from where it stopped. You're gonna have a prompt on the screen saying that you want to resume, press yes, and it just goes off from wherever it stopped. So that's very, very good. Now, one thing I have to say, the whole body, everything is enclosed, so the dust is not getting into the components. It will not affect the rails or anything, and that's super important, as you don't want to have the buildup of sawdust and soot. As I said also, it's super, super heavy, okay? And as the machine operated, hopefully you did see that, there's no vibrations. It is steady as a rock. Overall impressions, guys, the quality build is fantastic. Yeah, it does take a bit of time to actually put this together. The cable management could be a little bit better, but it's, to be fair, it's not too bad. The only gripe I've got is for this. It just doesn't have a proper space. I don't feel having it at the front here with the wire potentially getting too close to the spindle. Not too sure about that. So I kept it on the side as it was working, but I need to do more testing to see if that is an issue or not. So now it's time for you to let me know what you want to see with regards to this machine, okay? What do you want me to test, check out, or whatever, okay? Let me know down below in the comment section, and I'll try to do as many videos covering all your questions as possible. At this point, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to my Patreons for the ongoing support. And before you go, I've got really awesome 2 playlists here. Click on those and maybe you'll find your next video to watch. However, for today, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.